Imagine trying to sit still, focus, or follow directions with this glaring in your brain. Well, this is what autistic kids with sensory overload can go through. So, where lights feel like lasers, sounds like sirens, and those soft textures, well, they can feel like sandpaper grating against their skin. Today, I'm going to walk you through what sensory sensitivities actually are, how they show up, and what really helps. Hi there, I'm Dr. James Thatcher. I'm a clinical psychologist and director of Forest Psychological Clinic in Portland, Oregon. And I work with neurodivergent children, teens, young adults, and quite a number of the patients that I work with have what's called sensory sensitivities. So today, we're going to talk about what sensory sensitivities actually are. Autism isn't just about social communication issues. It's also about how the brain processes the world. So it's how the brain processes sensory issues like light, sound, taste, smells, movement, and even internal cues like hunger and pain. There's two different types of sensory sensitivities. There's hypersensitivities, to where there's too much light, too much sound, and just too much sensory input. And then there's hyposensitivity, to where the brain is craving more input from the outside world. And what this can look like is lots of different stimming behaviors or even constant movement. And not only are sensory sensitivities a part of one of the criteria for autism, but there's also a lot of research that backs this up, to where over 90% of individuals with autism have a sensory processing issue. And these differences, well, it can often lead to meltdowns, shutdowns, or emotional flooding, especially in unpredictable environments, like when going to the school, grocery store, the mall, somewhere out in the community. So now let's talk about what sensory issues look like in everyday life. So some different signs to look out for on how your kid with autism might be overloaded with sensory issues is if they're holding their ears in a loud environment, if they scream when the lights flicker or buzz, especially fluorescent lights, having a visceral reaction or gagging with certain food textures. You can tell this is not just something that they don't prefer, they're having a physical reaction to it. Removing their clothes because the seams in them are unbearable. And I've seen and heard this plenty of times, to where kids need to get the seams in the socks just right. Or when kids get home, they just remove all of their clothing because it's too much for them. Another one is constant movement. So crashing into furniture, pacing back and forth, spinning. Again, they're stimming in order to bring in more sensory input. It can also look like avoiding brushing their teeth or their hair, because those are very sensitive areas. And of course, meltdowns that can be triggered by hand dryers when they're in the bathroom, crowds when out in the community, or an unpredictable touch to where they didn't expect to be touched or hugged, and they do not like it. And I want to emphasize this next point, to where these different things might seem like quirks, but these are actually nervous system responses, to where to neurotypical folks, they may seem like small issues, but to someone on the spectrum, they can feel overwhelmed. Now I want to talk about 3 different ways to help your child with sensory sensitivities. So the first way is to actually create a sensory toolkit or a calm kit, whatever you want to call it. And I want to remind you that these aren't toys. These are ways to help your child regulate their sensory processing issues. So different things that you might want to include in here are noise canceling headphones. Can help with the noises that are going on, allowing them to wear that out in public and in the community so they don't get overwhelmed. Different what's called jewelry or fidgets. Maybe they need something to chew on for a little bit. Maybe they need some fidgets. Just another fidget. Having a pair of sunglasses available or a hat in order to deal with the light sensory sensitivities that they might be experiencing. Having a weighted blanket with them. And if that's too much to carry out into the community, and it likely is, those are very big, having something called a lap pad to where they can feel that pressure, but it's still a little bit more portable than a weighted blanket. You can even have scented items in this toolkit or essential oil rollers to help them. Or, of course, different soft textures or STEM toys to help them self regulate. The second way that you can help is to create predictable environments. So, what can this include? This can include visual schedules. So, having a calendar for them so they can see what's going to happen and what environment that they're going to be in. And then you can prepare ahead of time the different sensory issues that you might need or sensory tools that you might need in order for them to be able to regulate in that environment. Another thing that you can use is transition warnings. So telling them, hey, in 5 minutes, we're going to do this thing. Or even you can use visual timers to where you can see on here when time is about to go up. Hey, you've got 5 more minutes, and it clicks down. And with this thing, apparently I just bought it, so I really don't know. But apparently it like has different colors that'll light up to where when it hits the 5 minute mark, it'll turn a different color. Or if you got 45 minutes, it's like pink and then it turns black and blue. And I don't know, looks pretty cool. I bought it for like 10, $12. So check it out. And another one for you to consider, and you may disagree with me on this, and that's okay. Go ahead and leave a comment down below, but is to allow them to wear the same clothing each day. So yeah, that means it could mean them wearing the same shirt that they really enjoy. Keep in mind that comfort isn't defiance. They're just trying to regulate. And I should add that I've worked with parents that have done this before, and they do clean the shirt every single night. They just wait till the kid goes to bed and they throw it in the wash every night. I'm always a proponent of whatever helps, helps. Let's try it. And the third thing that you can do to help them is respect their sensory boundaries. So don't try and force eye contact on them or touch if they're telling you that it's overwhelming for them. Try to avoid surprise noises or chaotic environments. And go ahead and let them stim. So flapping their hands, rocking back and forth. These are self-regulation tools, not something to fix. For autistic kids, sensory sensitivities can feel overwhelming every single day. And these different sensory issues aren't a preference or a behavior for them. It's a survival mechanism. And when we understand their sensory needs and make space for it and don't try to change it, well, it's going to help reduce the distress that they're feeling and build trust. So if you've ever been told that your child is being defiant or too difficult or sensitive or dramatic, I want you to keep in mind that their brains are wired differently and that it's our job to meet that difference with understanding. So go ahead and drop a comment down below if you or your child has experienced any sort of sensory issues in the past or current and what's helped for them. And also make sure to stick around. Hit like and subscribe if this video has been helpful for you, and stick around because I've got more videos just like it. All right, I'll see you there. Bye-bye.